So if you think about society today, pretty much everything we do relies on computers. It relies on having a huge amount of computing power available. In the 80s, some of the pioneers of quantum mechanics or quantum physics came up with an idea, with a new concept, which today we call quantum computing. So what does that mean? It means being able to process information using quantum computing systems. The reason why it is so incredibly powerful and such a beautiful concept is because if you can harness the power of quantum mechanics with quantum computers, in principle, you're able to solve problems, or at least certain problems, exponentially faster than you could with any conventional computer. Quantum systems that power these machines interact with absolutely everything in nature. And these interactions, which are unwanted, cause errors into the quantum computers. So if you try to run a quantum computation, because of these errors, very quickly what happens is that all your information is lost. But there is an idea, a beautiful idea called quantum error correction. If you can implement quantum error correction during a quantum computation, what you can do is to detect and correct errors before they spread out throughout the computation and ruin what you're trying to do. What we are building at Entropica is a software stack that you need to implement quantum error correction for quantum computers so that we can fully harness the power of these devices. Quantum computers are universal machines. And in computer science language, that means that you can solve any problem using them. This is incredibly important because people tend to think of quantum computers today as very specialized machines that can only solve specific problems. When the first classical computers, traditional computers, were introduced in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s of last century, people were also thinking about very niche applications, very specific use cases. But today they're used throughout, across absolutely everything you can imagine. And I believe the same will be true for quantum computers. At the same time, since quantum computers are intrinsically quantum, it's very likely that the first use cases, the first applications will come from areas like quantum chemistry or material science, where you can more easily adapt the problems to the structure of quantum computers themselves. So let me tell you a little bit about my academic and professional journey. I'm originally from Ivrea, in the north of Italy, near Torino. And Ivrea is a very beautiful story as a town because it is where Olivetti came from. And Olivetti was one of the most incredible technology companies in Italy. They started by producing typewriters, and then they became pioneers in personal computers. So there is this history of computing that has always been very important and very dear to me. And it's part of the reason why I spent pretty much all my life working on computing and quantum computing. Anyway, after studying theoretical physics at the university in Torino, I moved to Australia to do a PhD in quantum information. And eventually I came to Singapore in 2014, about 11 years ago. Singapore is a very interesting place in the region because they put a lot of emphasis on research and technology and also entrepreneurship. And they have one of the best centers globally for quantum technologies, which is the Center for Quantum Technologies itself at NUS. So I came to Singapore to work as a postdoc to continue doing research in quantum information and quantum computation. But this idea of productizing quantum computing has always been with me. And when the shift started, and we have seen more and more of the work done transitioning from academia to industry between 2016 and 2017, I knew that there was the best occasion for me to transition from academia as well and start a company. And in 2018, together with a friend of mine, who was also a researcher at the university, we decided to work together and to launch Entropica Labs, with this idea of solving the fundamental problems of quantum computing and building the infrastructure at the software level that you need to make this technology accessible and useful for everyone.